Hi, so I'm going to speak to you about oxidative stress, something that gradually kills us. Oxygen is essential to life and health. The human body comprises 62% of water, 16% protein and fat, and about 1% of carbohydrate, and 6% of minerals. Water is a combination of water and oxygen. The most total elemental composition of the body is oxygen, 65%. Carbon is about 18%, hydrogen is 10%. Oxygen is the dominant element in the human body. Oxygen is required for the combustion of food to produce energy. The biochemical process of energy production using oxygen releases a typical waste like carbon dioxide, water, and a number of metabolic waste. All the water that are produced by oxygen is produced and required for every metabolic and physiological process that takes place in every cell in the human body. There are about 30 to 40 million human cells in an adult body. And each of these cells need energy to generate ATP, known as adenosine phosphate, which is required for the functioning of the body. Every tissue and organ requires ATP as energy currency for your eyes, brain, immune cells, and the cardiometabolic system. Physical and mental functioning. ATP is required for repair of injured or diseased tissue, or tissue regeneration and formation of new blood vessels, tissues, and stem cell mobilization. All require ATP. It is the energy currency that fuels the human body, that keeps it running 24/7. That's the fuel for the human energy. Every cell needs oxygen. When it gets a proper supply of oxygen, when it gets sufficient amount, it will generate sufficient amount of ATP required for its metabolic need, and that cell or tissue is in a balanced state. If that cell doesn't get enough supply of oxygen, it will not have sufficient energy for its need. Then it starts generating excessive free radical, and it is the free radicals that bind to the cell's structure and start to cause oxidative stress. Chronic oxidative stress plays an important role in most chronic diseases, and it also accelerates the aging process. Red blood cells make up 80% of the human cell. The primary function of the red blood cell is really to carry oxygen from the lungs in the blood through the blood vessels to every tissue, and it diffuses to the cells. Now the heart is the pump that keeps the blood flowing into the blood cells 24/7 to make sure the red blood cells get oxygen to the tissues, and the way it meets the body's energy demands. Even while we are sleeping, this is going on to keep us alive and ensure all is running smoothly and the blood supply is flowing where it needs to go. We have optimal health when this is happening. Your red blood cells are pivotal because they have hemoglobin in it, and each carries 4 atoms of oxygen. And if there is a problem with your red blood cells, if you don't have enough, like in anemia, and it could be because of poor diet, and you could have iron deficiency due to heavy menstrual period, or in chronic diseases, red blood cells are impacted, or cases of cancer where the blood cells are impacted for various reasons because you don't have enough oxygen carrying capacity in that blood to meet your tissue demands. Take, for example, cigarette smokers or cigarette smoking has something called carbon monoxide, which will bind to the red blood cells 200 times more than oxygen would bind to it. You are reducing the oxygen carrying capacity of your red blood cells when you smoke. This is why smoking is associated with so many chronic illness, in part because of that reduced oxygen carrying capacity. Smoking also has additional toxins I'm not even going to go into now. We need to optimize the function of the red blood cells with the number our chemistry needs to be optimized. If we are acidic, the red blood cells are going to hang more to the oxygen rather than deliver it to the tissues, which is oxygen hemoglobin dissociation. We want to be alkaline at all times instead of being acidic, so that the red blood cells are giving up the oxygen at the tissue level rather than holding on to it. The respiratory chain also needs to be working optimally. Oxidative stress occurs where there is oxygen debt at the tissue and cellular level. Once your tissues and muscles get energy back, there is more ATP production by the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of our energy in our cell. And once you can produce more energy, the cells can function even better, they can repair better, and they can regenerate better. Oxidation and inflammation are intimately linked. If you have one, you've got the other, and vice versa. If you've got inflammation, you've got oxidation, and your cells release free radicals through your immune system, which tries to destroy the bacteria or the toxin, and you end up with inflammation, and inflammation will then lead to little cascades and even more oxidation. If you don't understand what inflammation is, listen to my previous video on inflammation. It's on YouTube, it's on this YouTube channel, and it's also on my page on Eat to Heal on Facebook. Inflammation is caused by lack of nutrients that can lead our body to become inflamed. Inflammation is your body's way of cleaning up the mess by breaking it up. You don't notice if inflammation is in the body, but you do if it's outside the body, with signs of redness, swelling, or pain. If this carries on all the time, it will cause chronic stress and oxidation inside the body. This is why COVID is so deadly to old people, because of the cascade of oxidation. You don't want to be acidic. You want your body to be in an alkaline state within the optimal range of the pH of the blood. So you're actually making sure the red blood cells are actually giving up the oxygen at the tissue level rather than holding on to it. We want to make sure the respiratory chain is performing optimally, and you don't want your biochemistry to have too much carbon dioxide, acidic, or too alkaline either. Blood is so vital for circulation and getting oxygen to the needed tissues. When something catastrophic happens, like an accident or injury that leads to bleeding, or illness like heart attack or stroke, and blood supply to vital organs like the heart and the brain, this is disrupted. We are familiar with this acute severe oxygen deprivation. So when we have an accident or we have an injury, we're familiar with this oxygen deprivation state, which is called hypoxia. and it can lead to irreversible brain damage or death in minutes. Now, what we're not aware of is that long-term gradual deprivation at the cellular and tissue level helps to cumulative or can lead to cumulative oxidative stress, and that can cause tissue damage, organ damage, and ultimately chronic disease. There are times when we incur oxygen debt in tissue. For example, if we have low blood flow to an area, that could be because of anemia, plaques in our blood vessels, blocking blood flow in the heart. It could lead to leg ulcer in diabetics. Inflammation and infection can cause oxidative stress in the tissue. Inflammation from toxin and nutritional pathogens like gluten, additives like pesticide and phthalates. All of these cause inflammation, which causes swelling in the tissues that would restrict the blood flow of oxygen from the blood into the tissue, and it will cause tissue hypoxia, which will lead to dysregulation of biochemical processes needed for our health and well-being. Sleep disorder or sleep apnea is another cause of chronic oxygen debt, and it's common when we sleep. Whilst we're sleeping, we stop breathing, and during this time, even though it's a brief period of time, the body is deprived of oxygen. This cumulative oxygen debt leads to chronic oxidative stress that leads to diseases like cancer, for example. Cancer is linked to oxidative stress. Cancer doesn't like oxygen. They thrive in a hypoxic environment. Neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's diseases, cardiometabolic diseases like high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, diabetes, all have their roots in oxidative stress. Inflammatory conditions such as arthritis, asthma, inflammatory bowel diseases, immune dysregulation, predisposition to infection, fatigue, and fibromyalgia. All of these things have oxidative stress as the underlying factor. Other causes of oxidative stress are obesity, gut dysbiosis due to toxins leading to joint pain. Toxins include heavy metals from eating big fish, toxins from our cleaning products, personal care products like cream, deodorant, anything that has a smell like perfume and cleaning products. They set off free radical damage and then inflammation. These toxins block nutritional pathways, so you can't absorb things like zinc, which is an antiviral, selenium, and magnesium. They are not allowed to do their job because of these toxins. They set off free radicals and inflammation. A toxic body, which means is acidic, it's more acidic than it is alkaline. A toxic body without the right nutrient poisons the gut, leading to inflammation and oxidation, and it goes on and on till you die. Obesity is another major factor. Obese cells produce 17 different hormones as chemicals communicate around the body. They produce low-level chronic inflammation. The more fat cells you have, the more obese the more obese you are, leading to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and arthritis. Another factor is mind and stress. Stress manifests different things that end up releasing free radicals and inflammation. A bit of stress is necessary for survival when you're in control. It is necessary for growth and for progress. However, the chronic stress that never goes away, like financial, relationship, work, past trauma, and relationship issues, can lead to chronic disease. These issues will stop the body from absorbing the nutrients we need because the toxins are stopping, or the toxins that we release, or the stress that we release into our body will stop the micronutrients from doing what it needs to do. Headaches, cognitive difficulty, PTSD, traumatic brain injury can trigger oxidative stress. You might not have a family history of dementia and Parkinson's disease, which are antecedents, and experiencing cognitive decline that you're concerned about, and may not know what the future holds. So even if you don't have a family history of these things, the fact that you have toxins in your body may lead you to being predisposed to oxidative stress. Let's say, for example, a person is obese with fatty liver, coronary artery disease, and diabetes, with a pro-inflammatory disease, which is the mediator. He has chronic back pain, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue, and is not able to exercise. This person loses their job and has PTSD. This person becomes socially isolated because of IBS and avoids social events. Every health issue has a trigger. It has an antecedent and it has a mediator, mediators. You can't erase the past experience, but you can correct the physiological imbalances and oxidative stress from the stressors by working on your nutrition. By introducing antioxidants for brain healthy nutrition, exercise programs, and psychotherapy. Some of the things that you can incorporate or start doing from today to start slowing down the level of oxidative stress happening in your body is by reducing all the toxins causing inflammation, by working on your gut, by changing your nutrition. If you need help with this, please send me a private message on Facebook or on my Instagram page, or even on WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp group. If data is an issue, like I said, it will be best to join my Facebook group, where I share shorter audios to help you, although it doesn't go into so much detail, because I want to help people get some benefit from my videos, but at the same time not deprive them because they can't afford enough data to listen to the YouTube videos that go into a bit more detail. One thing I need you to do is that water is water is very important, and it costs us nothing. We need to hydrate. 500 milliliter of water a day would reduce high blood pressure, reflux, and hypertension by 10%. Green tea will help you. Lack of nutrient is a major cause of inflammation. Like I said, your nutrition is important, but hydration is also important. I will teach you how to remove certain things from your diet and replace them with better things that would help your body work better or work optimally. Now, one other thing I need you to do is to learn to be your own health advocate. This is what I promote even on my personal group. I give people the knowledge to help them start working on themselves with the amount of resources they have and the time that they have to invest in this. You need to learn to dig deep to find the root cause of your problem. The triggers and the antecedents and the mediators that cause tissue dysfunction to gradually heal your body. Now, antecedents may be your genetics that can predispose you to oxidative stress and disease even before you're exposed. These factors set up problems like I mentioned previously. Toxins in your environment are the antecedents. Mediators are processes that help perpetuate that dysregulation that were triggered by the antecedents in the environment, like your lifestyle factors, the junk food and the processed pro-inflammatory food we eat, poor sleep hygiene, sedentary lifestyle, stress and lack of work-life balance and relationships. They all perpetuate oxidative stress and that adversely impact our physiological nodes, leading to diseases. If we gradually start going back to address these things that we've done over 10, 20, 15 years, this process will heal our body, will heal the body if we go back to correct them. And this is not impossible. It is possible if you take one day at a time or one change at a time. It is doable, and you deserve to do it for yourself because of how much you love yourself and your loved one. I really hope this helps you, and I wish you well on your healing journey.